Hi and welcome to another narration presented by yours truly, Cryptids Roost. Please be so kind as to throat punch the like button and don't forget to smack the ass of that subscription button as well. Plus don't forget to share the video as well. This will help with YouTube's algorithm and will help promote the channel more. And if you would like to support the channel and help make it grow, all donations can be made to paypal.me/cryptidsroost and would be gratefully received. And if you enjoyed listening to the following story, be sure to pop over to the author's Reddit profile and drop them a line, or even give them a glowing review. The link to their Reddit profile will be below in the description. And don't forget to check out the merch store. And if you would like an honourable mention, send in a snapshot of yourself with your purchase and I'll feature it in one of the videos. And if you are going to leave a dislike at all, please leave a comment as to why. That way I can see what you didn't like about the video and then I can look at possibly making those changes in further videos. Thank you. And finally, have you written a creepypasta story you would like me to narrate for you? And if you had any cryptid sightings or paranormal or supernatural encounters, if you would like to share your stories and encounters, you can send them in to cryptidsroost@gmail.com. And if you wish to remain anonymous, that's fine with me. And all links will be listed below. So grab your coffee, sit back and enjoy the show. And don't forget, where fear is, happiness is not. The Sound of Grief. This fantastic story is written by Witchy Woman, a wonderful author over on Reddit's ScaryStories subreddit. Can you hear it? I asked as I leaned over the target. Do you hear them? Can you hear their cries? Yes, I can, she sobbed, sounding absolutely heartbroken. Good. Now you understand, I said as I turned to walk away, leaving her on the bench, wailing and sobbing her heartbreak to the world. But no one was listening. This request for justice came across my desk last month, but it took a little longer to set the stage for this request to be fulfilled. My customer had some pretty specific requests, and I had to figure out how to carry them out in a way that would keep me under the radar. Sometimes it's a little difficult operating in the shadows, especially when the target is a high-profile politician. My target has a habit of driving drunk, as well as passing legislation that makes it harder to prosecute people who commit unintentional homicide. Regardless of her intention, she still wronged my customer and justice must be served. This senator crossed paths with my customer last year. She was driving herself home from a political gala after having consumed far too much champagne and veered into oncoming traffic just as my customer rounded a corner. The accident that ensued made national news and created a national outcry against political favour. Unfortunately, the judge threw out the criminal and civil cases against my target, particularly due to the customer being unable to maintain their composure while on the stand. But who could blame him? He was left paralysed from the waist down, and he lost his wife and 2 children the night he crossed paths with the senator. My customer requested that I make the target feel the same way and with wretching guilt and grief that he's dealt with every day over the last year. This was going to take some creativity and imagination. I try not to kill anyone if I can avoid it. Bodies have a tendency to draw attention, and I need to remain out of sight if I'm to continue my mission. The target did not make things easy as far as figuring out who they were closest to. She only had a handful of close confidants, none of whom seemed to generate more than surface affection from her. No spouse, and her only child has been estranged for several decades. To be honest, trying to find a way to evoke the type of emotions required to fulfill the request was rather frustrating, but I am determined and justice will be served. I did eventually figure out how to reach the target and how to evoke the kind of pain my customer experienced, and it involved her estranged child. Now, some may call me cruel for this, but I have to do what is necessary to satisfy my customers and their need for justice. As I set about putting my plan into motion, I had to keep an eye on the city morgue, while waiting until a body came in that matched the physical parameters of the target's child, as well as get a copy of the target's social calendar. Surprisingly, watching the morgue was the easier of the two. A body matching the required parameters finally came in about 2 weeks ago, and it wasn't difficult to bribe the coroner to hold on to the body since it was an unknown. Before you think I'm denying another family closure, I have resources the city doesn't, and I made sure that the body didn't have any next of kin to grieve for them. Anyway, the target had a party convention to attend shortly after the body came in, so I was finally able to set my plan in motion. I broke into the morgue, and after everyone had left, and brought the body out of refrigeration and got it in the car. It took a few minutes to get the car to the location I picked out, one that was along the target's route and conveniently dark. I propped the body in the driver's seat, sat on the bench nearby and called the target. Using a recorded message I'd spliced together of her child saying they wanted to see her and talk, I called my target. As I anticipated, she was already drunk and insisted on seeing her child tonight at her house. I quickly set the stage by placing the vehicle in the road, pouring a small puddle of gasoline in the driver's seat, with a gas-soaked rag leading from the road to the seat and setting a magnesium flare where it would be guaranteed to ignite from the collision, before ducking behind the bench and starting to record the scene. It didn't take long for the target to show up. As anticipated, she was speeding and swerving all over the road. All I had to do was wait less than a minute for her to collide with the vehicle I'd planted. It took 2 minutes for the flare to ignite the gasoline in the car, and by that time the target was out of her vehicle, stumbling and slurring as she approached the planted vehicle. When she got a glimpse of the body burning in the front seat, she dropped to the ground and let out a scream that I've only heard a couple of times, and would be quite happy to never hear again. My target eventually got off the ground and stumbled around in the dark for a moment before attempting to get back into her vehicle to leave the scene. As she grabbed the handle of the driver's door, the first sirens wailed into earshot. I came out to my hiding spot, still recording, and asked what she was doing. "I can't be seen here. I have to get away from here before the police get here," she slurred, obviously still drunk, as she attempted to open the door. I put a hand on the door. "You can't drive in your condition." "I just killed someone. If I get caught here, this will ruin my career. Now get out of my way," she screamed, using both hands to claw at the door in a vain attempt to open it. By this point, the lights from the police, fire and EMS vehicles were starting to illuminate the night. My target started screaming incoherently, trying to get into the vehicle before giving up and breaking down into hysterical sobs. I put my hand on her shoulder and guided her to the bench, which she promptly sank down onto. Once she sat down, I stopped recording. "Can you hear it?" I asked as I leaned over the target. "Do you hear them? Can you hear their cries?" Yes, I can," she sobbed, sounding absolutely heartbroken. "Good. Now you understand," I said as I turned to walk away, leaving her on the bench, wailing and sobbing her heartbreak to the world, but no one was listening. As the first police cruiser rounded the corner, followed closely by a fire truck, I stepped back into the shadows and left the scene. I believe my customer will be satisfied. Once this video hits the air, which it should be doing in a couple of hours, I emailed it to every news station across the country as well as to my customer. For now, justice has been served.